And then you're going on this like big trip around for a year.
Hopefully it's just the rest of our life.
Okay.
I mean, honestly, if it only lasts a year, it'll be a great year. But
Mhm.
if we can make it do like work for us,
You're
as
never
long as
gonna
we
plant an
can.
apple tree in your whole life.
That's not true.
You're gonna just
Um,
keep in a pot.
uh, so I thought about one of our one of our issues is like, man, there's lots of like I almost hired like a guy to come up with like a permaculture design plan here for this property. So like be like if there is such a thing as like low maintenance permaculture, because like the first couple of years are kind of more intensive and then it just kind of, it gets easier as it goes along. So that when and if like we come back to stay, it's already like well established and whatnot, but it just the money side of it didn't make sense, at least for now. But I mean, I'm gonna help other people plant apple trees. Like my buddy that lives 15 minutes away or whatever, I think he's got 600 trees he's gonna need help with this spring. So I'm gonna be going over there. He still needs to let me know when that's happening. But
Well, I just
yeah.
brought it up because like we moved around a lot. Like we neither of us had ever even made it through a 1 year lease before we bought a farm. Like who does that? Like, oh,
That
I
that is
haven't.
kind of funny.
I know we did a lot of traveling around, and then and we bought our farm, and like planting an apple tree was like a really big deal for me because I was like, this is like a long term investment. Like if I plant this, I have to stay, or I'm not even gonna see it for like I didn't get an apple for 5 years. So like the
Right.
idea that we were gonna stay for that long kind of like blew my mind that we were. And then of course we planted like 50 of them because we were like, oh, you're gonna plant one, you might as well plant 50.
I mean, yeah, they could all die or got one left or something. So
I don't know. It just seemed like the right thing to do. So we
Well, and if you're ever
planted.
going to put them in the CSA box, you need to
Mm.
have a lot all at once.
I wasn't
that
even
is
thinking of that
true.
then. I was just thinking like, well, if we're here, we might as well be here. But yeah, it took a long time for us to do that. So that meant like we were staying.
You keep kicking around this idea of when the kids are maybe in their teens, uh, shutting down the farm for a season, or you know, structuring it so that whoever is still here can run it. Um, and us leaving and just touring around with our kids and essentially woofing around the
Right.
world, checking out other farms. And it's really fun to see other farms and learn about other farms.
I'm afraid
Yeah.
I'd be a horrible employee. I'd be like, why are you doing it that way? That's stupid. I
I
used
think,
to be a really good employee. Now I
right.
think I'd be like, that's not what we're doing.
I don't know.
That's
I think it
yeah, I
would be
can
a lot
see
of fun,
that. I can see that
and it
being
would
an
give
issue.
us a chance to like just work alongside the kids because we would, somebody would be showing us what to do. So instead of me being in charge and saying, no,
Mm-hmm.
do it like this, do it like that, it's we would just be working alongside them and uh, connecting with them at a time where you're sort of naturally exiting out of that as your primary social outlet, the parent kid dynamic.
Yeah.
Uh, but also, um, that they would see all these other farms so that if there is something that appeals to them, that they see an opportunity to continue here. I don't want to pressure the kids to have to take over the farm or try to build that extra layer into my relationship with the kids or into structuring the farm really, but I want them to sort of see with their own eyes what some different ideas are, and if something jumps out at them or they can kind of bring an idea back, there's a place here
The
to
palette
do
is
that. The
here.
palette is here, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
right.
That's great. I love that. My wife and I are actually gonna do an episode here probably this week about like I think we're gonna title it like what about the children or like what about the kids or whatever and like how are they gonna learn like on the road. And one of the things that I thought of was like, okay, typically somebody that operates a farm or even like a homestead doesn't just have one skill. They normally have like a set of skills or like so like what if they're also like a diesel mechanic, and so like they could be like, hey, blah blah blah, like, and then maybe my son would be like, oh, that's interesting. What are you doing? And then kind of learn on that. Like, okay, I'm not really interested in that now that I kind of saw it a little bit. Like, okay, what about art or piano? Or I literally get them exposed to as much as possible and just see what they pick up on, because staying like just around me and my wife and our interests probably isn't going to be their interests. So,
Right.
The really interesting thing too is when your kid gets old enough for actually being school age, school takes like 2 hours, like
right.
week. Like
I've heard that.
maybe other kids would take, like, I was shocked at how fast you can get. Like if you're like, when I was doing it, actually took a lot longer because they would fight with me. No, I don't want to, but like when we had like an actual teacher, if you just do the things, it's like there's so much wasted time in school. And I know they're learning other
Absolutely.
things, they're having this different experience, and that's all good and everything. But like when people are like, how are your kids going to have an education? Like, how are they going to learn math? Like math takes 10 minutes a day. I mean, I know it'll be more when they get older, but like it is shocking how small amount of time school itself takes. Now
Sure.
it gets a little bit more complicated. We had an art teacher come, and so that was like a layer of complication, but still, like, all the kids are really into art, so we hire this art teacher to come for like a half a day so they get to do big projects.
That's cool.
And then they do have, like, they're just different because of, I think they, especially the older kids, who are not our kids, the older kids are the other farms kids, really different perspective on things and what's available to them. They kind of have in some ways a
Right.
bigger scope and in some ways a smaller scope.
Yeah.
Sure.
They
Yeah.
have real responsibility, which is really interesting.
That is a big thing, and it's really interesting to see these kids because they don't have, curriculum wise a fully fleshed out education. Like there's definitely some gaps there where things got skipped around, but on the other hand, they're already hopping in a wheel loader and moving things around and
Yeah.
unloading
Making
things at a
decisions.
professional level and making those decisions that have very real, very expensive, very dangerous consequences. And it's incredible to see kids that have some grasp of that level of responsibility. And I think that's a big thing that falls short in our education system.
They
Absolutely.
can also have real conversations with other adults. Like they treat you like you're a real person, not somebody who they should like fear. Like the dating scene in the homeschooling crowd is basically zero, but that's okay too. But they can, like, it's so funny. Like I feel like they would have no idea anything about dating, which makes me kind of laugh. But like then like on the opposite, like they can like hang with adults in like a real
Right.
way. Like these are my friends.